Oh boy. Are we doing this? We're doing this. Welcome back. Appreciate you coming back. It's been a while. I mean, I tell you, it might have been a while for you to be back here, but it's definitely been a while for me as far as Animal Crossing. But I don't even know where to start, you guys. I played this game, and I have to explain something with this series. Is you can't take it lightly, and I mean, you can, but I can't. So the reason it's taken so long to do this is I was very much focused on playing this, and I did, and I have been. It's been a while since I have been now, because honestly, the last time I hopped on was, well, really a couple days ago, but only to get this feather that's in my hair, because, I have to have that feather. It's part of me. It's just, part of the whole look in it. So, but before that, it had been since like September since I played. And really the whole year, that year when it came out in March, I pretty much attacked my island. I had no room really to me. I was very just focused on it, and I had no room for I just didn't feel like doing videos on the game when I really just wanted to play the game. So I've really just enjoyed that time playing. And I know several YouTubers out there, one in particular that she basically just said, I want to play it. I can't. It's hard to balance both the social aspect, I guess, or the content creating of YouTube and just playing this. So it was just never really an option I had because of the extent of what this game is. So I guess this is going to be my first island tour. And I guess I'm being a little bit selfish because I want it to be my own, but I'm very proud of what I've done here, and I really want to share it with you. So another thing is, if you don't want to watch it here, you can explore this island for yourself. I've had a dream address up for a long time. I'm assuming it's still up. So I'm going to leave that in the description of this video, so you're welcome to check this out, and then you won't have to be spoiled by me wandering around and showing you this. But I will start with my house. Now, I have no idea how long this tour is going to take. I also just kind of want to go over the things that I think are really neat about this particular game in the series. But here's my house, and it's very similar to what you have seen in the past in my other island tours that I have. But here we are. There's a couple new things here. This little bear over here, I had to have it. It's not particularly of, it's not relevant to me, but I do remember my mom, when I was younger, she had a Beanie Baby that looked a lot like this, so I decided, when I first saw it here in the game, I was like, that has my mom written all over it, so I decided to keep it here. Kind of the same thing to do with this clock up here. If you look up there, right above the bear there's a clock. We had something similar to that in our older house, but just little things like that, little touches that add to this room, I think, are really neat. Of course, the camera over there in the corner, it's red. Of course it's red, because, style and all that. Anyway, I'm also very big into VR at the moment, so this little set of goggles here reminds me of VR, and I totally had to have that. So, and you got your computer rig, your fancy little mic. I used to use a fancy mic. I'm not at the moment, but I do still have it somewhere. This was a event-only item. I can't even remember when that was. I think it was only a couple months after the game was released. But it's an interesting thing because there's a lot of things I can mention about this game. I'm going to try to go over them as quickly as I can, and I don't want to make this tour just like super long either. So I'm going to try to run through this. Try not to explain things in too much detail, but there used to be a cabin set in the previous games, both City Folk, Wild World. Don't know about the GameCube one because, of course, I never played it, but this was very much like the cabin set that used to exist. It does not exist in this game as of yet. I could be I could be wrong. It's been several months since I played, so they could have updated. But the thing is, it looks so similar that I don't think they're even going to bother with a cabin set in this game. So you have to craft these, of course, with the wood you collect from trees. So the crafting system is a really interesting thing in this game, and it actually it makes you appreciate the islands a little more because it's taken people more time to make what they have for the most part. This was a computer room. I changed it to a gold type of chill area. And of course, we had to put the royal crown in it. This played a key factor in the creation of my island. Wink, if you know what I mean. The early users, if you've been playing since the game came out, you know why this would be super relevant as to making bells. I might have a video on that later. What else can I mention? If you were to ask me, is this the best one in the series? Is this the best game of all the ones that have been released? My answer would be yes. We are still missing things like the cafe and the island, the tropical island you go to with the mini games. I do miss that because those were fun. But really, if, I never really went there too much in New Leaf. It was a neat thing to do if you're playing online with a few people, but it's not you know, the most important thing that they added was the dream. I don't even think they call it the dream suite in this game. They just call it the dream something. Anyway, so you can still share like dream addresses and things like that. This room was going to be kind of like a friends area. I used to have self-portraits of everyone, but I can show you right now that I have no more room for designs. So I'm not going to scroll through all them, but I have no more room. I can't do that. I really can't. And it's nothing against my friends. I love my friends, but and they know that. But I just can't put any more. I was so focused on what I was doing with the Link's Awakening town that I couldn't put their portraits up in here. So, which is a shame because those portraits are like really old, and I like them. Like I like to the classic patterns. I love having those. But anyway, that room, I don't really know what I'm doing with that back room. I'll figure it out at some point. I've got like a little bathroom area over here, so I'm going to show you that. Look at this, I'm already like almost 10 minutes in, and we're just talking about my house. I got to speed things up. Anyway, bathroom stuff, here you go. It's great, amazing, kind of messy, and in some ways, welcome. What else? What else can I mention here? Probably the most tedious thing, but like I said before, the crafting in this game, it's such an important part of it that I think it really makes you appreciate what people have done. Most people, I mean, to my knowledge, aren't really hacking this game yet, so that's good. We don't see as much crazy shenanigans as we did in New Leaf or even the previous games, but of course this is the Easter set, and a lot of people were annoyed by these items actually and how many eggs you had to get and how many appeared really. I will tell you that for people that were attempting to get the gold slingshot, it was a help because when you shot down, I think that's how it worked, more presents were spawning in the sky, so that was a neat way of getting the gold slingshot. I think I have it right here, yeah. So that's how I was able to get that pretty quick, I believe. Anyway, it's not even just final that I'll have this room here forever, but and some of these items played a key factor in the island creation, because this right here, I'll show you what I've used that for. I might not even be able to give you a full tour, but I'm going to try to. I'll show you the basement real quick, and then we'll just head outside and look at all the other things I've done. I'll kind of explain myself as to why I've done this. Anyway, so this is my bouldering room, and for a while there I was really big into bouldering. Not so much anymore, but it is a fun little hobby. I think it's picking up. More people are uh, trying out bouldering, and I think that's evidence in this game that they would add climbing walls and all that. But this is kind of my workout room, and if you really get the urge to game while you're down here, you can. So you got a couple things here. Definitely a Street Fighter looking game right here, and maybe I can't remember, Space Harrier type. I don't do space games, so, but I mean, if that's your thing, you can come down here and play. So there you go. And that's my house, and nothing special. I think my favorite part of it all is this room right here. And tell me what song's playing. Yeah, so in every game that I've played, if it's my house we're talking about, I put KK Marathon in. This was the first KK song I ever got, and so I've got to keep with tradition, and I keep that in whatever house I make in whatever game I'm playing. So that was the house, and that was a long freaking tour. That was 11 minutes of just a house. So what can I tell you about the freaking island outside? I don't even know. Let me pull up my map here. So let me show you this. If you see where I am, you can see basically the lighter green square going around. Of course, it gets gradually lighter. This is indicating how high you are, basically. And my goal when I started was to create Mabe Village from Link's Awakening. That was the only plan I had. What I didn't expect was the amount of space that I did have after making it. And I knew that with that space I couldn't make Koholint in its entirety. So I decided to pick out my favorite scenes from Link's Awakening and add them to the game. So here you see Mabe Village, of course, and this is by far my favorite. I had to do this. This is such a classic game for me. I grew up when I owned a Game Boy Pocket back when I was like 7. This is the first portable game I ever played. I had to remake this. It wasn't even in color back then. I was playing the black and white version. I did get to play the DX version later, but yeah, here it is. Of course, you got Bow Wow here, and we used. Another thing I tried to do is to save pattern space is use some of the items the game already has in it, so you kind of get this blend of patterns and furniture. When they announced that furniture was going to be able to be used outside, that was a big deal. I mean, it still is. So customization here is changing. I mean, it's the best it's ever been in this game. So, and I can show you some of the houses I've tried to mimic. I've used players' houses in place of, where certain key houses would be, or of course the shop here. Nook's Cranny is way bigger than the shop that's actually in Link's Awakening, but we used it anyway. I thought it was it made sense to put this here. Of course, it is the shop in this game, so I just thought I'd use that in place of the shop that's in Link's Awakening. There's probably going to be roaches in these houses, but I can't help that because I just hadn't played in a while. But this is, of course, Terran's house. We tried our best with, I tried my best with kind of taking inspiration from both the remake and the older game. So these I like to just think of as pictures of Terran and Marin. Interesting thing is when you are editing those, I can show you right now. When you're editing those, you have to flip them upside down to make them appear properly on the wall. So you might take note of that if that's something you want to try to do. It's a neat way of making some extra patterns because, interestingly enough, you have pro designs, which is hats and shirts and whatnot. that's all in its one section. There's like 55 slots here, I think, and then 55 more on the other custom, just regular custom designs. A worry I had before the game came out was even the fact that patterns could be used. It was a while before that was confirmed. And so it wasn't even, if patterns were not a thing in this game, I wouldn't have bought it. It just, they have to be in. Thankfully, they're in, and they're even more, you can utilize them in different ways, so that's nice. Of course, we have these little ducks in place of the cuckoos, so that's the closest thing I got to cuckoos or chickens, I guess. So we have those here. And of course, this is the fishing pond, a very memorable moment in the Link's Awakening game. And I've added little music very similar to kind of Game Boy noise when you're fishing in that game. It kind of just reminds me of that, so I thought I'd put that in. This tour might be really long, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It's just a very long one. Again, I'm gonna walk in here and there's gonna be roaches, but this is the library. It also has some extra rooms, and I need to explain myself with those rooms as well. So yeah, roach, kill that. So here it is. Pretty easy room to mimic, really. I may be able to add more detail later, but I've changed the way this magazine or book looks because it's really the only one you need to read in Link's Awakening, and if you're really good at Link's Awakening, you don't need to read it at all. You could probably just guess as to what pattern would lead you to the nightmare in the whipfish egg, but that's... Anyways, I'm going to show you what's in here, and you might not recognize this just right off the bat. Dang roaches, I swear, there's tons of roaches in this game. So, this is Mr. Wright's room, and you're probably wondering why it's here. It's because I don't have enough room in the overworld to put it where it's supposed to be, but also I've had to do this with several other areas as well. Let me show you here. This will be a pretty good explanation of why. So I'm limited, even though if you can imagine, you can have 8 different people in your island locally. So you can create, if you look on the Switch profile, you can see I have 7. I've actually got room for one more that I can make, and I plan to do that at some time. I just don't know when. But I've simply made those profiles to make houses in this game, so that I can use those houses to decorate inside and interiors. But this is supposed to be the hint person, I can't even remember his name. It's hard to pronounce his name too. Anyway, you're supposed to call the character in the game, and he's supposed to give you hints. I should know this person's name, but I just don't. But I've put it here because we can't necessarily do that in the overworld. But you'll notice in the overworld that there is a house in place of where it's supposed to be. I just can't decorate it. So this is where that house would normally be, like right here. Or, yeah, right here. And then same with the crane game would normally be here, and of course the only other shop I could think to put there is the Able Sisters. But another really, I just like where those are. If I come out of my house, if I've just started the day, maybe in Animal Crossing, I just come out of my house, I'm in May Village, I can go to this shop or that one. Bam, it's done. So this is where it starts to change quite a bit, and this is where I started kind of condensing what I was doing. These to me really, these are just book holders, I think, but they're really like reminiscent of the signs you can see in Link's Awakening, so I've put those there. You can get different signs, but these to me just look more in place with what's here. I can't really explain why. This is the forest area, but of course I've had to condense it. Again, I'm trying to use a mixture of patterns and real items to make it pop, you know. And this right here, there's a lot of items you'll notice where it's just like, oh, you know, you might not know where to get that, and it's because during the fall, of course, fall has come and gone now, but I wasn't playing during the fall, and I had to go on Nookazon to get this particular item. But I've put this in place of that mushroom you get and give to the witch, and it turns into magic powder and whatnot. So just little areas. Of course, the forest wasn't my favorite area, but I kind of had to put this here to just, you know, it's just to confirm that I know where this forest is, I suppose. And then, of course, this is a raccoon figure. And if you know Terran, when he bites into a mushroom, he turns into a raccoon. So there he is. Wasn't originally going to do cliff patterns. My plan was to use the actual terraining to make the cliffs work in this. But overall, it became something just wasn't satisfying to me. It didn't look proper. It just didn't look right to me. So for that part and for several other parts over here, those are just patterns. They're not actual cliffs. Of course, you can walk through them. I've put walls there to kind of remind you that, you know, it's not supposed to be something you can walk through, but you can here. So, and then we've done something a little interesting here. This cuts through the island, or the May Village, and it goes right to the graveyard. This is the graveyard area. That's same thing, you know, it's in Link's Awakening. It's right there. And of course, the color dungeon is hidden in this area here, if you know Link's Awakening pretty well. And then this here is just left of it. I've got little pieces of heart. I think I've only got just the 4 pieces in the entire island, but it's a neat little thing if you can wander around and find those. It's kind of a fun little thing you can do. I've added. So, of course, this is where the witch's hut is supposed to be. Instead, I think it's some wolf character that lives here. And then I'd like to imagine that the overworld just kind of at some point in the life of Koholint, something happened to the terrain there, and we're cut off here. Of course, I've had to cut it off somehow. I've strategically planted rocks in certain spots, so when you visit this as a dream, it's a very progressive island. So it's kind of like a quest type of dream that you come into. So when you come here, May Village, you can wander around there in the dream all you want. But if you want to explore other areas, you have to complete certain tasks. So I'm gonna leave this. Well, shoot, God, there's so much I want to show. Okay, I'll go in here real quick. Roach, of course. So we know what this area is, of course. This is the dream sequence in Link's Awakening where he's dreaming within a dream, kind of Inception type stuff going on. It's the place where you get the ocarina. And I've also added over here in the back. Of course, I mentioned where the witch's building is, someone's living there already, but this is the interior of that building. Again, I've had to do this because I want to see these areas, but I can't put them where they're supposed to be. But it was never the main thing to, you know, add the witch's area. It was always, the goal was Mabe, and I've just kind of gone from there. This area here, if you can get in there, you deserve props. But behind this area is something very dear to me, and it is what I am calling the Easter egg of my island. So if you can get in there, then, well, props to you. Okay, so now I need to do more explaining. Of course, when you leave the village, this is where things start to change. And this is what I was talking about with the condensing and, kind of like seeing my favorite areas. I have always had a trail going around the entire island. So all of this, the grass, of course, you would recognize, but this is not from the game at all as far as the overworld is concerned. However, we do have just little areas where, so it's blocked by this, but you can see Tail Cave. I actually did not finish the interior of Tail Cave, but you can, tell you what, I'll just climb it right now. I can show you just a little bit of that. I'll show you the whole thing, but got a little construction sign here because I'm not done. But of course we have the statues where they're supposed to be. Didn't bother with adding a keyhole one because that's wasting an entire pattern. You don't want to do that just for one thing unless it's something important like Bow Wow. I hardly ever do that unless it's something important. What else? Like I said, it's a progressive kind of town. So over here we have a maze area. It's like a rock maze thing, and you need a pole vault thing to get over there. So you've got to figure out where to get one of those. Over here, you're free to wander this area. This is the animal village. Houses are in place of where some of these animals are supposed to be. Of course, here we have another rock, the beach area. When you get past the rock maze, it takes you down there. You get a certain item that can break this rock here. This is supposed to be reminiscent of the desert, and for that point, I've put had to catch 3 of them, and I had help from friends too with some of these figures you can make. I've done this with some of the enemies. These are hats, actually. I've used those to make some of the enemies you would see in the desert. And then you have some bugs here. And this was just something I made. It's not really reminiscent of much in the game, although it kind of reminds me of maybe a fairy fountain or an area you would see a fairy. But really wanted to just see a waterfall in that way, so I decided to make that. What else? This is the face shrine area. These are actually transparent patterns. So we've used, oddly enough, you can use, it's really weird how that works, but you can use, like, you can make roads and then put patterns on top of them. So it's almost like having a pattern on top of a pattern. And this is really nice if you're using transparent patterns. And I tried to utilize transparent patterns in more ways, but I have found when you use them inside buildings, they don't look all that great. It's weird, and maybe that's an update. They'll fix that. Of course, there's another piece of heart. We might find all those by the time the tour's done. So this is the interior of the face shrine. Of course, really at this moment in Link's Awakening, Link discovers that, he starts to understand that when he wakes this fish, he's gonna lose everything, like the whole island's gonna go, and I guess I wanted to make that more of an impactful moment here. So I put little pictures of all the characters from Link's Awakening on these walls, using hats again. Just kind of a fun little thing, but this I remember being, and especially in the remake too, it was one of the most memorable areas because this is where you find out, the whole thing is just a dream. And oddly enough, this game had, what did they call this? It's some kind of flag, I think, or a sign. But when you customize it, you can change it to multiple different types of fish, and this to me looked the closest to like that windfish ancient stone they had in this area. So, and I don't really know why. These are termite mounds, and these seem to work pretty well for pillars, I guess. So I put those in here. Freaking roaches. They're everywhere, man. Crazy. So this, if you don't recognize it right off the bat, and I would like to add more detail to this, but also a problem I run into is some of these rooms are smaller than what they should be, and I don't want to upgrade the houses too big. But this is where you would normally upgrade your bombs or your arrows, or your magic capacity. Capacity? Am I saying that right? Yeah. Anyway, this is where you would, you know, change that, upgrade that. You'd pour some magic powder in here, and a bat would come out and be like, "Hey, we're gonna give you more stuff." So. The music, this I believe came out in New Leaf too, but Sonata, heck, that might be a Wild World song, but it kind of a sad, kind of sounding thing. So, um, and then what else? We have what? Yeah, I gotta show this. This is the Cantaloupe Castle. These items were added in the recent update with Pave. These are nice little flags that you can get. I only got one, but I'll try to look for more later. I want to put one right here and maybe even a couple more in other spots. But there's the other piece of heart there. I think we found them all now. But this is it. This is the castle, and I've left the gate open. Got a couple other flags here, and we used gold screen things for some wall decoration. And if you remember, there's normally like a little raven that sits on this tree that gives you one of the gold leaves. I've just put a black duck in its place. So, there you go. But the castle here, it barely worked out. We barely got the castle to be here, but we did manage to do that. I believe when you visit this in a dream, the gate will not be open. You have to find another way to get in here. But I can show you what's inside, I suppose. I'd encourage you that if you want to visit this island, that you should progressively get here, because it's just one of those things I meant for it to be. So I've got little knights everywhere, and it's kind of weird the way I've set these up, because when you can actually see how that works. You just put armor down, and you turn it around, and then you put the helmet on the wall, and you bring it down on the wall, and so then it looks like they're actually just a full knight looking dude standing there. They're little, but I mean, I think it looks pretty good. I'll show you what's in here. Of course, Richard was betrayed by all of his soldiers and whatnot in his castle, but I like to think that in this island that he's back on the throne, and he's got his leaves back. So I've put his leaves, all 5 of them, in this room, and this is where he sits. Okay, so a good friend of mine made this for me. She actually made several of these outfits, but this is Richard's outfit, and then I've got a few other ones in the stores that you can actually wear as well, but yeah. And then I had to put this in here. Oh, I didn't want to look in there, but the song used in here is, what do they call that song? Totake's song or something? Totaka's song. It's in a lot of old video games, and it's just the artist always seems to hide this little tune within games, so I had to take that. It's also in Link's Awakening in Richard's house. If you wait long enough, it'll play. So I decided to put it where Richard would be. So Okay, we're gonna go this way. So this is Mambo, I think, the fish. Oddly enough, this song that's playing is called that, but the fish's name from Link's Awakening is called Mambo. So it kind of worked out. But this is kind of an area uh, dedicated to him. It's in the castle just because, I don't know, because I felt like it. I mean, I couldn't put it in the overworld. Like I said, we're running out of room out there, and again, I wanted to see some of my favorite areas in some of the in the island, so I just put him in here. Some of those other houses I just don't want to make bigger, so another roach. Here we are. This is There's a character in the animal village that if you trade him, what do you trade him? If you give him a beehive, he'll give you a pineapple. No, wait, it's the other way around. Is it the other way around? No, he's a bear. He wants a beehive. Yeah, you get a pineapple. Anyway, he's like a chef too. So we got pots here, and he's got his honey, and I don't know what this other stuff is, but tomato sauce. I don't know. I can't remember. And then I just kind of made the walls according to, you know, beehive and bears and honey and whatever. So again, he's just in the castle because I can't just put those interiors with outdoor houses like I want to, but we do what we can. Same thing, this is very different than what's in Link's Awakening, but this is Crazy Tracy's room. You can see some of her items here. She's got her potion. One of the things I thought was an interesting change in the remake is the potion that she would normally give looks nothing like it does in the remake. You know, like, it's so different. But this potion here looks a lot like the classic game, so that's why I've got that here. So she makes her potion, you come in here, you give her like, it's either 28 rupees sometimes or 40 something. 42 or something like that, so. And then that's her little bow and stuff like that, so. There we go. And then these are hearts from like a Valentine's event, I think. I just scattered them around. It gives the room a little more decoration, I think, so. Anyway. And then one more room to show you here. This is one of my favorite rooms, personally. See, you can't tell that I'm proud about my own creation, can you? But this is, I'm gonna give you a minute, see if you can recognize it. This is the area where you would get a new sword or more seashells. One of the things that's really kind of interesting in the remake is that you have to collect like a lot of the seashells before you get the new sword, whereas in the old game, I think you just need 20. And then the remake, it's like you need 40 or 45, I can't remember. But anyway, the electricity, of course, is just kind of reminiscent of what happens when you get the new sword. A bunch of lightning comes out and sword drops to the ground, you pick it up. You can shoot beams, it's pretty nice. This is actually just a beach blanket that I've retextured. Some of the textures are in the game, so if you talk to one of the Able sisters every day, she'll start being nice to you, and then she'll give you more patterns to use when you go to like customize a design on a couch or whatever furniture you can change designs on. Really kind of in-depth stuff, but really neat features that are in the game, kind of in some ways hidden in the game. So that's it for the castle. It looks very different than what would normally be in here, but it's just one of those things where I wanted to, again, some areas I definitely just wanted to remake and felt like remaking, and yeah. And then if you look, you probably saw it earlier, the museum is actually on top of everything up there. I can just go up there, I suppose. Here we are. There's the museum. It's kind of a pain when you want to come in here and donate something because you got to climb a ladder, but it's worth it. I don't know. I don't really know why, but I decided to put some horses here. Just felt like it. I believe that's pretty much it. Of course, the maze is down south. That's not really anything special to look at. I can show you this real quick. This is the last thing I'll end with, I suppose. This is, of course, the windfish egg, and we used... What is that? There's an ocarina here. Oh, okay. It's probably here in the dream as well, but... Anyways. There it is. There's the egg, and then I've made all the instruments with hats. That was kind of a last-minute idea that I had. Well, I say that. The hats were an idea that I had for a while. I was experimenting with hats and putting designs on them, and then I found out other things and other uses for them, so... And then this, of course, is from the Easter event. So I put that here as well. Well, this turned out to be a 40-minute tour, so I appreciate you taking the time to watch with me, or hang with me. My words are a little jumbled up at the moment. It's been a while since I made an Animal Crossing video, so there you go. That's it. That's Maeve Village. That's Koholint. I had a lot of fun making it. I'm not going to make another island in this game. I will not. I refuse. But definitely, every now and again, I'll try to come back and update some things. And again, town tours or island tours. I've talked about this in the past, but really, if that is something that interests you, leave a comment below. Do you think I should start that up again for New Horizons? Would you like to see that? And then like this video, of course, that always helps, and that motivates me to continue making content for this game. But with the way YouTube works and the way Nintendo has gone about doing YouTube, it's difficult to find that motivation sometimes to make videos like this, because it's just changed. The YouTube platform has changed since I was doing New Leaf stuff and other things Nintendo related. So again, I appreciate you taking the time, and I'll try to upload some more videos and more updates and things like that. But really, to sum it up, because I don't know how long it's going to be before I make another video. It's oftentimes I find myself saying that I'm going to do another one, and then it's forever. You know, I take a very long time to make another video. But can I recommend this game to you? Yes. Especially if you're a fan of Animal Crossing, but at the same time, it's like an extension of things you already know about Animal Crossing. Like, Animal Crossing takes time. This one takes a lot of time. Especially, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you're going to do with it. But I've certainly had fun playing it, and yeah. That's it. I'm gonna leave y'all be now. But thank you for taking the time to watch this, and yeah, maybe I'll have more footage up soon. Please let me know how you're doing, and if you have any dream addresses that you think I should check out, let me know, because I can totally tour those. I would love to tour those. And that's it. I will talk at y'all later.